Baseball fans love their stadiums, probably more than in any other sport. Everyone's got their own opinions about which stadiums are the best, and you'll never find two fans who completely agree. As with anything in life, no matter how great something is, you'll always find someone who hates it. And on the other side, one man's trash is another man's treasure, as the saying goes. A far less debated topic is, what are the most famous stadiums? A lot of times the answer is obvious, though not always. It could be the most famous ballpark for many reasons. Sometimes it's the oldest, or the biggest, home to the most popular team, or the winningest team. Or it might be a stroke of architectural genius not seen elsewhere. So today I've put together the most famous baseball stadiums from 18 baseball-playing countries around the world. In most countries the choice was obvious. In a couple of them it's disputed, and in those cases I'll mention too. Let me know in the comments what stadiums you like, which ones you've been to. If there are any ballparks from countries not in this video that you think are worthy of a mention, tell us about it. And as always, if you think I got something wrong or you've got something to add, let us know. Alright, I'm gonna start in Japan, and here there are two. First is Tokyo Dome. This is the most easily identifiable baseball venue for anyone outside of Japan. Every few years or so it hosts Major League's opening series. Every 4 years it's host to WBC pool play, and it has been host for the finals of both editions of the Premier 12. It's home to Japan's most popular team, the Yomiuri Giants, who average over 40,000 fans per game every year. With a seating capacity of over 45,000, it's the second largest ballpark in Japan, and the largest domed baseball stadium in the world. Perhaps the greatest moment in Tokyo Dome's history came last year when the country's greatest baseball player ever, Ichiro Suzuki, played in his final Major League game and bade farewell to a sold-out crowd. Aside from baseball, this is also the best-known venue of any kind in Japan, famous for holding concerts and various other sporting events. But among baseball fans, in Japan, the number one name in Japanese baseball stadiums is not Tokyo Dome, but KOSHIEN Stadium. And when they mention KOSHIEN, there's a good chance they're not even talking about professional baseball. The National High School Baseball Championship is held there, and it's bigger than any non-professional event in the country. The ballpark is so well known for this that the event itself is most commonly known as simply KOSHIEN. High school players consider it sacred ground, and those players from teams that qualify for the tournament are permitted to take a small amount of soil from the famous all-dirt infield. As for its pro baseball presence, it's home to the Hanshin Tigers, second in popularity to the Giants, and first in their region. The Tigers lead the league in attendance every year. At a capacity of over 47,000, KOSHIEN is the largest baseball stadium in Japan. It's also the oldest, opened in 1924. It's almost 100 years old. In 1934, a group of Major League All-Stars toured Japan and played at KOSHIEN. This team included Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Jimmy Fox. A plaque containing Ruth's image can be seen there. In Korea, the SAJIK baseball stadium in Busan is the most famous. The capacity of 26,000 makes it the largest in Korea. It's one of the oldest, too. Since it opened in 1985, it's been home to the Lotte Giants. For most of their history, the Giants have been the attendance leader and the most popular team. Though in recent years they've been challenged by other teams in both of those categories, their stadium's fame lives on. In Taiwan, most stadiums are new, but Tainan Municipal Baseball Stadium has been open since 1931. It was built on the grounds of a baseball field used by the Japanese, a reminder of how the game was introduced to the island. It's small when compared to other baseball stadiums in Taiwan, with a capacity of just 12,500. One thing that really sticks out is the height and position of the stadium lights. Due to being in the path of commercial airliners going in and out of nearby Tainan Airport, the lights were lowered and moved inside the ballpark. It's one of those unusual features that, while not desired, help to distinguish it from other ball fields. Tainan Municipal Baseball Stadium is home to the Uni-President Lions, who have claimed the most championships in league history. Down to the southern hemisphere, Australia doesn't have a long storied baseball tradition, so the ballparks there are small and new. BLACKTOWN Baseball Stadium, part of BLACKTOWN International Sports Park, was built just prior to the 2000 Sydney Olympics, and was used as a secondary venue for baseball during the Summer Games. It's the only professional baseball stadium in Australia's largest city. It's used by the Sydney Blue Sox, who are neither the winningest nor the most popular team. Capacity is just 3,000, so all the seats are good seats. In neighboring New Zealand, there's only one professional team, so you probably won't expect their ballpark to be anything special. Well, you'll be surprised. North Harbour Stadium has been open since 1997, but only configured for baseball since 2019. The most noticeable feature is a 20-foot wall in the outfield, resembling Fenway's Green Monster, only this one is appropriately named the Teal Monster to reflect the team color. The tenant team is the Auckland Tuatara, who in just their second year in the league won their division this past season, and reached the ABL semifinals. In their final game of the season, North Harbour Stadium's attendance was 4,208, the second largest crowd in the league's 10-year history. Let's head over to Europe. not the best known region for baseball, but there are a few exceptions. In Italy, the Rome suburb of Nettuno is the biggest exception of all. This city of 50,000 is the only place in Europe where baseball is said to be the biggest sport. Stadio Steno Borghese, built in 1991, has by far the largest capacity of any baseball stadium in Italy, with 8,000 seats, more than double the size of the next biggest. Nettuno residents have good reason to be such huge baseball fans. Their team, the Nettuno Baseball Club, is the league's most successful team, 17-time winners of the Italian series. The tiny nation of San Marino has just one team in the Italian Baseball League, and therefore just one stadium. The Stadio di Baseball di Serravalle, built in 1986 and holding 1,500 spectators. This ballpark is home to the San Marino Baseball Club. Not the best team, but not the worst either. No outfield seats here, just some woods beyond the outfield fence that is probably home to a lot of lost home run balls. In the Netherlands, Pim Mulier Stadium in Haarlem takes top honors. When it was built in 1961, it was the first stadium in Europe built specifically for baseball. It's also the first ballpark in the Netherlands built with light towers. It's home to DSS Haarlem of the Honkbal Hoofdklasse, the professional baseball league in this country. But it's best known for being the home of Haarlem Baseball Week, an international baseball tournament taking place every other year since the ballpark opened. Pim Mulier Stadium has a capacity of 4,500 and can be expanded. It's named after Pim Mulier, considered the founder of modern Dutch sports. Across the Atlantic we go and down to South America. Venezuela, as you can imagine, has no shortage of baseball stadiums. Estadio Universitario leads all stadiums in the country in almost every category. Built in 1952, it's the oldest ballpark still standing. Its capacity of over 25,000 makes it the largest. It's home to not one, but two of the 8 teams in Venezuela's professional baseball league. One of those teams, Leones del Caracas, is the most popular and most successful team in the country. The stadium forms part of the Central University of Venezuela campus, which was declared a World Heritage Site in 2000. The stadium is identifiable by its colorful bleachers and scenic mountain view beyond the outfield walls. Next door in Colombia, Estadio EDGAR Renteria is the ballpark everyone is talking about now, built just 4 years ago and home to the league's most successful team. But it may never catch up in fame to Estadio Once de Noviembre, the oldest and tied for the largest in Colombia. It was built in 1947 and is located in Cartagena, a port city on the Caribbean coast. The home team is Tigres de Cartagena since 1996. The stadium is named for the date of Cartagena's declaration of independence from Spain on November 11, 1811. Up to Central America, Estadio Nacional CAREW, or Estadio Nacional de Panama, is easily Panama's most famous stadium. Built in 1999 with a 27,000-seat capacity, that's more than 3 times the capacity of the next biggest stadium in the country. It's hosted a number of special events in recent years, a WBC qualifier in 2012, Major League Exhibition games in 2014, and most importantly, it was the site of the 2019 Caribbean Series, where the Panamanian team won it for the first time in 69 years. It's located in Panama's capital, Panama City. Águilas Metropolitanas call it home. In Nicaragua, the prize goes to Estadio Nacional Denis Martinez, located in Managua, the nation's capital, and named after the country's best-known ballplayer of all time. This ballpark just opened in 2016. Capacity is around 15,000, the only stadium in the country that can seat over 10,000. It's home to 8-time league champions Indios del Bor. The must-see ballpark in Cuba is without a doubt Estadio Latinoamericano in Havana. It opened in 1946 with a capacity of 31,000, but in 1971 was expanded to 55,000, which it remains at today, making this one of the biggest baseball stadiums in the world. It's used by Industriales, the winningest and most popular team on the island. In 1999, the Baltimore Orioles played an exhibition here against the Cuban national team. In 2016, MLB returned. This time, the Tampa Bay Rays played the Cubans, while Cuban President Raul Castro and United States President Barack Obama were in attendance. Baseball is king of all sports in the Dominican Republic, and Estadio Quisqueya in Santo Domingo is king of all stadiums. Though not the biggest in DR, it's certainly the busiest, with 2 tenant teams, Tigres del Licey and Leones del Escogido. It's also a popular concert venue and has been used for soccer matches. It was built in 1955, making it the oldest baseball stadium in the country. Puerto Rico's best-known stadium is a familiar name for Major League fans. Hiram Bithorn Stadium, in the capital city of San Juan, was a second home for the Montreal Expos in 2003 and 2004. It's been host to several other regular season Major League games in the last 20 years, and will be again in April when the Marlins and Mets visit. In 3 of 4 WBCs, Hiram Bithorn Stadium hosted pool play. Aside from baseball events, it was also the site of the NBA's first ever outdoor basketball game in 1972. It opened in 1963 and its capacity is over 18,000. The home team is reigning league champions Cangrejeros de Santurce. The ballpark is named for Hiram Bithorn, the first Puerto Rican to play in MLB. And over to North America, working our way up from the south. A lot of new stadiums have been going up in Mexico in recent years, but the name that most associate with Mexican baseball is Estadio de Béisbol Monterrey. It's Mexico's largest ballpark, seating almost 22,000. MLB has held regular season games here as recently as last year. It's used by Sultanes de Monterrey, the only team to play in both the summer and winter leagues, so this is the only stadium used year-round for baseball. It's been open since 1990. However, there may now be a challenger to Monterrey's stadium's fame. Estadio ALFREDO HARP HELU in Mexico City just opened last year. It has a unique design that really makes it stand out among all the stadiums in Mexico. Its capacity is over 20,000, just a little less than in Monterrey. And this is where MLB will hold its regular season Mexican Series games in the 2020 season. On to the birthplace of baseball, the United States of America. 30 Major League stadiums to choose from here, and I've narrowed it down to 2, one in each league. First, the American League. In the past, Yankee Stadium would have taken top honors, but its doors were closed after the 2008 season. So the most famous ballpark in the AL is definitely Fenway Park. It's the oldest park still in use today, opened in 1912, also one of the smallest with a capacity under 40,000. And it has the shortest distance to the outfield walls. Fenway is full of unusual features that make this ballpark unique. The most noticeable of all is the Green Monster, a 20-foot-high green wall in left field. The bullpen wall, on the other hand, is shorter than usual, and can be hazardous for outfielders chasing fly balls. Fenway is home to the Boston Red Sox. The World Series has been played here in 11 different years, the most of any current Major League ballpark. For the National League, it's Wrigley Field. Opened in 1914, this is MLB's second oldest ballpark. It's been home to the Chicago Cubs since 1916. Like Fenway, Wrigley has an abundance of unique features you won't find anywhere else. The ivy-covered outfield wall sticks out the most. Very common to see balls get stuck in there, resulting in a ground rule double. Then there's the hand-turned scoreboard, which is also found at Fenway, and the bleachers on a building across the street, so you don't even have to enter the park to catch a game. On October 1st, 1932, Wrigley was the scene of Babe Ruth's famous called shot during the World Series between the Cubs and the Yankees. In the 1945 World Series, the now broken Curse of the Billy Goat began here. Last stop is Canada, and the choice here is an easy one. Rogers Centre, formerly the Sky Dome, is home to Canada's only Major League ball club at this time, the Toronto Blue Jays. Opened in 1989 and seating 49,000, this was the first stadium to have a fully retractable motorized roof. 2 World Series were won here by the Blue Jays in 1992 and 93. The 93 World Series ended with Joe Carter's famous game-winning home run. And that's all for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. And until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.